His heart felt like it was pounding in his temples, and when he reached up to touch his forehead, his fingers came away damp with sweat. He automatically touched his shoulder. No blood. No open wound. Only the ever-present ache from where the bullet had entered his flesh a few months before. "Sorry," he muttered, sitting up and reaching for the glass of water on the bedside table. "Didn't mean to wake you." Melinda was upright now, her arms crossed over her pregnant stomach. "It's the third time this week. I think you're going to have to do something about the nightmares, Dave. You can't go on like this. I can't keep waking up every night. God knows it's going to be bad enough when the baby comes." Dave threw back the covers and swung his legs out of bed, his feet checking the floor to make sure it was solid, not like the shifting ground of his dream. He stood up and rubbed at his face. "Sorry," he said again. "Go back to sleep." "Fat chance of that now," she huffed, starting to pull the covers up and roll over. "Between the baby kicking and you moaning, there's not a lot of rest to be had." Dave switched off the bedside lamp and ran his hand over Melinda's hair. "Trying to go back to sleep," he said, before shutting the door quietly. He walked out into the kitchen and stood by the sink. The nightmare had seemed so real. He had smelled Bulldust's sweat and breath, heard his heavy breathing as he chased him, felt his hand on his shoulder, listened as Bulldust threatened him. So real. Swallowing hard, he poured himself a glass of water and drank it, staring at his reflection in the window. Bulldust had changed his life, changed the way he looked at the job, made Dave want to get back out onto the streets, to chase down those bastards who thought they were above the law. The ache of his shoulder reminded him of the vow he'd made as he walked out of the Brisbane hospital. He would track down Bulldust and his brother Scotty, and he would make sure they went to jail. Dave knew he wouldn't go back to sleep now. The gnawing pain had seen to that, but so had his thoughts. Glancing at the clock, he saw it was 3:09 a.m. That was the time he'd been waking up at, most nights, since he returned to Perth from Queensland. Not always to a bad dream, not always to Bulldust chasing him. Sometimes he just woke up. He would go from being in a deep sleep to staring at the ceiling, wondering what had woken him. He usually had the unsettling feeling that Bulldust was watching him. Of course, it wasn't the case. Or was it? How could they really be sure that the brothers hadn't tracked down Dave and his family to where they lived and were just biding their time? Dave grabbed 2 painkillers from the packet on the bench and refilled his glass. Swallowing them, he hoped that the pills would stop the pain and make him sleepy enough to stop thinking. He walked through the house until he reached the lounge. Here, he pulled back the curtain and stood in front of the window, almost daring Bulldust to come and find him. Looking into the darkness, he tried to see if there was any movement in the bushes that hid his house from the road. There was no moon tonight, so it was hard to tell. Perhaps the bushes were shifting in the gentle breeze. Maybe he should go out and look, just to be sure. A dog barked in the distance and Dave froze. Spencer, his previous partner at Barabine, the one who had suggested Dave go undercover, had said he was suffering from the effects of being shot. "Mate, it's a traumatic thing to have to go through," he'd said when they talked on the phone yesterday. "I should be tougher than that," Dave had answered. "I'm a copper." "Don't see how that makes you exempt. Plenty of other fellas out there who have been through the same, more or less, and feel the way you do. No shame in it. How many times have I told you that?" Dave had harumphed, still feeling that he shouldn't be reacting this way. The doctors were hoping he would be able to get back to work in another week, but he wasn't sure he could wait that long. He needed to keep himself busy, get his mind occupied again. Of course, it hadn't helped that Mel's father...